tuned for Pistons basketball on Fox Sports Detroit, presented by Bell Tire.
It's Christmas week at the Palace, and the fans get a point guard present tonight as the Pistons' Tracy McGrady, playing very well these days, and on for the injured Rodney Stuckey, is matched up against one of the NBA's very best, the Hornets All-Star, Chris Paul. Tonight live from the Palace, it's the Pistons and the New Orleans Hornets. Good evening, everybody. Happy holidays, and welcome to another exciting night of NBA basketball. I'm George Blaha, live at the Palace with my partner, Special K himself, Gregory Kelser. And Greg, the fans will get a heck of a present here if the Pistons could beat the Hornets.
The fans and maybe the Pistons themselves, because after playing one of their best games last Tuesday against the Atlanta Hawks, they could not find any energy and lost a very disappointing game to the Clippers on Friday. This game, if they can win it, George, would be very good for their psyche, but to do it, it'll have to come against a New Orleans team that's playing some pretty good ball right now.
Yeah, they've won 2 in a row and look very good in doing it. By the way, a different look to the Pistons' starting lineup tonight. Tracy McGrady is starting at point guard for Rodney Stuckey, out with a sore big toe. Ben Gordon in at shooting guard for Rip Hamilton, out with an upset stomach, and Charlie Villanueva starting at power forward instead of Greg Monroe.
Well, surely some adversity with all those players out, but you trust Tracy McGrady as your point. He's shown throughout the season he can get it done. Ben Gordon looking for some consistency, maybe starting will help him regain his form. And Charlie V, well, he's been the Pistons MVP this season, so starting or coming off the bench, you certainly like him.
He's been terrific this season. Speaking of terrific, take a look at this twosome for the Hornets. Chris Paul, all he wants to do is win. He doesn't necessarily look to score, but he does score 16 a game, shoots 49%, averages about 10 assists a game, and 3 steals. And there's David West, rock solid at power forward, 18 points on 53% shooting and 7 boards.
Well, the Pistons are very familiar with this very talented pair. And look at this action a couple of weeks ago down in New Orleans. That night, Chris Paul was in playmaking mode, and he got everybody involved. 14 assists, he certainly passed them around. His penetration, the Pistons will have to stay in front of him and try to keep him away from the basket. David West, an unspectacular power forward, George, but very effective, can hurt you in a variety of ways. With his back to the basket, making a move down the lane, he can play through contact. So in order for the Pistons to win tonight, folks, they have got to do a job on that pair as well as some other very talented Hornets.
Yeah, including Marco Bellinelli. Now, he can shoot the rock. He certainly did in New Orleans against the Pistons. He'll be a big part of Greg's game plan coming up next.
On Fox Sports Detroit is brought to you by Bud Light. It's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go.
And now it's time for Greg's Game Plan, brought to you by the Bernstein Advantage. Get the Bernstein Advantage, nothing but net. Here's Special K.
George, in order for the Pistons to win this game today against the Hornets, they're going to have their starters all in gear. The 5 starters scored just 29 points, losing to the Clippers. By the way, the Clippers went and beat Chicago, so that win now looks a little bit better, I guess.
Yeah, but the starters still got to step up.
Absolutely. They've also got to protect the paint. Everybody. The Clips scored 58 on the inside. It's going to be really hard to win any game anywhere if you're giving up that many points. Stronger defense on the inside, fellas.
I agree.
And then finally, on the Marco, talking about Marco Bellinelli. He really hurt the Pistons a couple of weeks ago in New Orleans. Shot 8 of 12, was 4 of 7 from three-point land, totaling 22 points. He got some of that stuff on his own, too, hitting a tough shot right there. He can be dangerous today if not guarded.
The Pistons hope the home Fires help them tonight against Chris Paul and the Hornets, a team with twice as many wins. All the action's next here. It was one of the most entertaining games at the Palace last season, an overtime thriller against the New Orleans Hornets. Chris Paul put on a show from the point, scoring 24 and dishing out a game-high 14 assists. Rip Hamilton led the way for the Pistons with 32, while Ben Wallace turned in a turn-back-the-clock kind of game with 13 points and 21 rebounds. In OT, it was Rodney Stuckey who rose to the occasion with several big shots as the Pistons gutted out a 110-104 win. Welcome inside the Palace, where it's nice and warm, and where Monty Williams, the former Notre Dame star, is in his first year as head coach of the Hornets. 16-10, he's won his last two, including a drubbing of the Utah Jazz 2 nights ago. They out-rebounded Utah 53-24. Here are his starters, presented by Big Boy, Trevor Ariza and David West, flank Emeka Okafor. That's a solid front court. And with Chris Paul dishing the ball and sweet shooting Marco Bellinelli beside him, the backcourt's not too shabby either. John Kuster has a different starting lineup tonight. In one case by design, in two cases because starters are out. His starters presented to you by Meyer. Tayshaun and Ben up front as usual, but Charlie Villanueva's in. He's played so well off the bench. Greg Monroe will go back to the bench, at least for tonight in the backcourt. Ben Gordon for Rip Hamilton, out with an upset stomach, and Tracy McGrady for Rodney Stuckey, out with a sore big toe. The officials are Mike Callahan, Tommy Nunez Jr., and the ex-NBA player Leon Wood. Let's check in with Eli before we get it going.
Well, George, as you know, this has been a very troubling homestand for the Pistons. They blew a 25-point lead to Toronto. Then, after a terrific win over Atlanta, put forth a very disappointing effort against the Clippers on Friday. In fact, in his 3.5-minute post-game remarks, John Kuster used the term "very disappointing" 6 times in particular, referring to his team's energy. You wear an NBA uniform, you got to approach your work with a tremendous amount of heart. And yesterday ran up through a very spirited practice, after which Ben Gordon framed it best. He said, "If you don't try and get better every day, then things get worse. You got to attack this, stay positive, go hard every day." And frankly, I'd be very surprised, George, if we don't see a great Piston energy out of the gate in this one. Over to you.
I believe we will. But you better be energized if the other team's point guard is named Chris Paul. Pistons win the tap. Tracy McGrady. Checked by Bellinelli. Tayshaun against Trevor Ariza. T-Mac from the wing, guns it down. We were talking before the game, trying to figure out just what Tracy McGrady would do with major minutes. I guess we're going to find out tonight.
Yeah, if his body, if his legs hold up, George, we could see him perhaps play 30 minutes tonight. And I think he's going to do a nice job directing this team, but it could become a slower attack because the Pistons aren't going to be quite the running team if Tracy's handling the ball a lot.
Okafor with a miss. Tayshaun brings it to forecourt. Charlie Lee trying to post Bellinelli. Got him on a mismatch. Shot clock's at 5. Tayshaun guns it down over David West. Pistons score the first 4 of the ball game. Ben Gordon checks Chris Paul. Bellinelli behind an Okafor screen, steps up and fires off the dribble. Off the heel. Here comes Ben Gordon. Whips it to T-Mac for the long gun. Around and off. Ben had a hand on it. Emeka Okafor brought it down for Chris Paul. Ariza with the drive and an offensive foul. T-Mac took the hit.
Offensive foul on number 1, Trevor Ariza. Pistons get the basketball back.
These guys started together in the backcourt before. Yes, once this season. Ben with 20, T-Mac with 10 in a win over Charlotte. Shot clock at 10 for Tayshaun against Ariza. Tracy McGrady drives Bellinelli, gets to the cup, flips it up and in.
Went right by Bellinelli with the left hand, George. Pistons off to a great start. All of their baskets coming out of the half court.
The Hornets have it in the hands of Chris Paul, and why not? Screen from Okafor. Corner feed to Ariza. Baseline drive and a bump, says Leon Wood. And a T-Mac foul. Where available, this game is presented in high definition on Fox Sports Detroit Plus HD, sponsored by Comcast. In many areas, Comcast is now carrying our Plus service in high def on channel 707. West pulls his way inside against Charlie V. Can't get it down. T-Mac hustles the rebound down. Pistons still up 6-zip.
I saw some physicality there. Therefore, West could never get comfortable and threw up a rather awkward shot that had little chance of going.
I'm with you. Tayshaun turns, misfires. Okafor to Chris Paul. Almost 3 minutes in. The Pistons lead 6-0 here at the Palace over the Hornets. Pulling his way inside again is West. And he'll get a call. Charlie V's first foul. Pistons' second team foul, and David West is at the stripe. West, as you saw in the open, had 25 against the Pistons in New Orleans a couple of weeks back. Vote for your Pistons McDonald's Player of the Game, presented by the McCafe Caramel Mocha. Use your cell phone, text Pistons, followed by a space, then the player's uniform number to 37338, or vote online at foxsportsdetroit.com. Final result post-game during Pistons Live, and check your text response for special offers from McDonald's. Pair of free throws for David West. 6-2 Pistons. Tracy McGrady with a clock at 12 finds Ben Gordon off a Charlie V screen. The jumper rims out. Okafor to Chris Paul.
Pistons lead 6-2, George. I guess if I have any concern at this point is that everything has been on the exterior, jump shooting.
Yeah. Ariza faked the three.